And I'll give you an idea. In a typical scenario of cracking, how we crack passwords, what a 15 or 16 character long password would do. So let's say you have a password that is alphanumeric with casing, 16 characters long. So your 8-character password, and you just type it twice. And we're taking something simple, such as your password is password with a capital P. How long would it take for me to crack that password? Just general, forget about what I just said about not impossible to crack in Windows, but just a password that long. How long would it take to crack? How long? 5 minutes? Well, first, there is 47 octillion combinations. I had to Google it. It is octillion. How long would it take to crack? 53 trillion years. Okay, now cracking passwords, there is a thing as half-life. Okay, so really it would take 26.5 trillion years to crack that password. By the time I cracked it, I wouldn't care. Now, I could guess it. Password is not a difficult password to guess, right? You can just make the assumption that somebody has a password of password. And that's what happens a lot of the times where people try to break into accounts. You don't want to be a victim of circumstances. If I go out to Google and look for email addresses, a lot of you, your email address is the same as your logon to websites, right? Because you came up with a name that you always remember. So the first part of your email.
They make a lot of them say.
Well, sometimes they make it your email address, but even if it's not an email address, just a user ID, it's your email address that you use, right? So I go out and I find 10,000 email accounts. I assume that they have an Amazon account. I'm just picking on Amazon because a lot of people use it. But I assume that those people have an Amazon account. Out of those 10,000 people, if I try a password of password, do you think I will get at least one account to get in? Yeah. They then become a victim of circumstances. So don't make your password so easy that somebody can get in. Make it complicated. Come up with something that makes it unique. I'm going to give you show some tools that you can use, but this is just a manual process.
So Chris?
Yes?
What if it's a website that I don't care if you have?
If the password on that website that you don't care about is the same on a website you do care about, then it's been compromised.
So, but I might, have a whole group of websites that can be password because I just don't care.
Right.
By trying to.
Right. No, you're right, but you have to be very cautious because sometimes you will end up going to a website that you may not care about now, but later on, new functionality opens up and you can start purchasing things. You just have to be cautious. So what you're saying is, let's say I go to forums. Who cares if a forum gets hacked in with my account? The Charlotte Observer. Who cares if somebody logs into my Charlotte Observer account? Big deal, so I'm just going to use password. But you then go to another website, or let's say all of a sudden now you can do a subscription to where you get billed for the Charlotte Observer with that account. Well, now there's a potential loss of money. Or you use that user ID and password and use that at Amazon. That's when you'd be a victim. But as long as you can be good at saying, these websites that have no personal value to me whatsoever, other than reputation. Because, let's say you post on a website, it's a forum, your reputation is potentially on the line, right? If somebody starts doing, slurs or something like that, and they know who you are, that wouldn't be good. But you got to be cautious. But yes, you could do that, but it requires a lot of work and dedication to make sure that you don't use that password. So what can you do? Use a password safe. I got 3 listed here. And the best part about this, they're all free. They don't cost you anything. Okay? One is what I personally use. And one is what I used to use. Okay? What I personally use right now is called LastPass. What this tool does is becomes whatever browser you use. It supports all of the browsers. So let's say you use Internet Explorer or Firefox. There's a little button in the toolbar you click on, you log into this tool, LastPass. So when you go to a website and you put in a user ID and password, it remembers it for you and stores it securely. Then when let's say you want to change your password, it's smart enough to know, hey, you're trying to change a password. Do you want me to remember this password? Yes. Would you like me to create a password for you? You say yes. It's scary that now there's a password I don't know. But remember, this is a web-based tool. So no matter where you are in the world, you always have access to the password. And it will create a password for you that you don't even know that is long and complex. I do that now. Trust me, I know the concern of having some tool create a password. You don't know what it is and put it in there because, well, I may need access at some time and I don't have this tool. But if you're on the internet, you have access to this tool. It's extremely secure. I've met with the developers and the president of the company, and you'd be surprised at what they do for security. It's very good. Now, I like LastPass because it saves it securely out on the internet, so it's always there. Now, granted, if sometime LastPass all of a sudden goes out of business, shuts the door, and turns off all the servers, okay, you've lost it. But I don't foresee that happening anytime in the near future. Another one is called Password Safe. It's written by Bruce Schneier, well-known cryptographer. It's the tool that I've used for at least 10 years before I started using LastPass. It will store all of your passwords. In fact, I would use Password Safe to store more than passwords. My credit card numbers, my wife's social security number, which I can never remember, driver's license number, all of that stuff I would store here. And it's very safe. But again, you have that one password that needs to be strong. Backing up. You got to back up. Now, there is no reason anymore to not back up. It used to be we had to back up and, you know, all we had were floppy disks. Then we got CDs, and while CDs were, you know, not that big. And how do we go about to back up? Hard drives become cheaper. Okay, so we could back up to another hard drive. But do you have the right tool to be able to do it? And it's complicated. And then you also need off-site backup. Because what if the house burns down? Or what if your business burns down? If you don't have a backup, it's difficult. And doing it to tape, and it's very complicated. But for personal use, at least, what you need to do is there are sites. Doing it up off-site is using a cloud-based solution. I personally use this myself. I do a lot of backups. So at home, all of my computers back up to my server. My server is a workstation. You know, I've just got a home network set up. And so that my daughters, her documents, I just manually copy that over to my central location. And then I use one of these sites here. Actually, one I use is not up here, but it's one from Amazon. And from that one computer, every night, it goes and does a backup out to the internet. Now, the first time takes a long time, but you just do it at night with the computer that's on. You don't even know. So that when my computer crashes, that has all of my pictures of all of my kids, it's no big deal. It's out on the internet. And it is encrypted. That's a key thing. You need to encrypt it. Now, all it is a matter of having a password. You say, yes, I want to encrypt it, and give it a password. Make sure it's a strong password. Don't share it with everybody, but, you know, put it in LastPass or Password Safe, but keep it secure. But you need to do those backups. A lot of you have lost data because your computer crashed. Now imagine if you're talking about with your donors and your personal tax information, if you lost that. For me, the most important thing are pictures. You know, if I lost pictures, you know, I wouldn't be married any longer, right? My wife would be really upset with me. But I also back up my videos, my personal videos, not you know, my DVDs, but all of that stuff gets backed up. And it's not expensive. It costs about $5 a month. That's pretty darn cheap. And you could back up more than you're allowed to store more than you could probably place. Now, you have to decide, is it worth backing up all of your music? You know, oh, I've got 20 gigs of MP3s. Yes, you could back it up here, but probably not worth it. But back it up to someplace else and put it in a safe or, you know, something so you don't lose it. You know, I put it on multiple computers. I don't back it up to the cloud.